The news is reporting the USJ invasion attack. The villains called themselves the League of Villains, or LOV for short. 72 villains were arrested, but the leader fled. All Might has written a letter with it saying, "Although I'm still getting the hang of this teacher thing, the students are incredible for a class. I saw kids with amazing potential and powers. Some students have an endless drive like Bakugo and Todoroki, but there's one student who caught my eye who doesn't even have a quirk, even though I have seen him do things beyond a regular human's capabilities. I even tried to see if he wanted one for all, but he refused my offer. Instead, he said that he'd help me find a successor, and I think I'm picking Todoroki." At night, the teachers and the principal of the UA high school were sitting at a table listening to the same detective from the last part. The detective told the teachers that the police force was trying to find information about the League of Villains but barely got any. The police didn't have any files about someone with a disintegration quirk or a warp quirk, so they're not regular civilians. The heroes argued that they needed to stop this monster before he attempted to pull something like this again. All Might thinks that the villain attack against the USJ was bold. All the teachers think that the hand-faced villain mostly acts like a spoiled brat and that he probably never had the quirk counseling students usually get in school. The detective tells the teachers that the 72 villains that were arrested were just common alleyway criminals. The detective says that they're going to keep investigating and searching for the ringleader. Elsewhere, Deku was at home because school was shut down because of the USJ attack. Deku was making dinner for himself while thinking of his mother as he started crying. After he ate dinner, he went to his room and started training by doing 200 push-ups, 120 sit-ups, 130 squats, a 30-minute jog, 80 leg raises, and lunges. The next day at UA, the students were talking about the USJ attack and how they were on the news. Deku is playing with some of his shurikens as Ida comes in demanding that scholars in his class sit down and get ready for class. To his surprise, he was the only kid still standing, which made him infuriated that he embarrassed himself. Mr. Aizawa tells the class that the war has just begun and that the school's sports festival is quickly approaching. A lot of people, including Kirishima, are hyped about this. Kyoka thinks that it might be too early to have one, especially after being attacked by villains. Shota assures them that they can't cancel the event over a villain attack and that security will be buffed up more. Even Mineta doesn't want to participate. After all, he doesn't want to die because his quirk is kinda useless. The goth teacher says that the sports festival is not only for entertainment but for heroes to scout and give offers to the students from their agencies. The students were hyped up and realized this was a one-time chance and they had to give it their all. Ochako is pumped up despite being the most laid back of the class. She shouts to the class that she'll do her best at the upcoming festival. Deku is thinking to himself that he needs to eliminate the competition and get first place to get big deals to pay for his mother's heart surgery, but he'll pace himself to see how much power he'll need to use. During lunchtime, he comes upon Ochako and asks her why she wants to truly be a hero, and she responds that she needs money. Ochako wants to make money since her family owns a construction company but hasn't gotten any business operations, so they're broke. Ochako wanted to help her parents ever since she was a toddler. Deku is surprised that someone else in his class needs money for someone important. All Might interrupts the conversation and asks Midoriya to come eat with him. In the lounge, All Might tells Midoriya that he can only use his powers for 15 minutes now because he overworked himself. Midoriya gets concerned for All Might and goes to his mind void. He meets his stand and asks if it's okay for him to heal All Might's stomach so he can use one for all at 100%. The world says no to Deku because it can probably bring danger if All Might gets captured or accidentally reveals his powers, plus he hasn't mastered his blood manipulation that well. Deku pleads to the gigantic stand until he changes his mind. Back in the real world, All Might also tells Deku that he's giving Todoroki his powers soon. The world finally agrees on this as Deku asks All Might if he could heal him. The hero is puzzled because he thought the kid didn't have any powers, but he tells Deku to do what he has to do. Deku yells the world in his mind as time momentarily freezes up. He pierces his fingers into All Might's flesh and begins injecting All Might's body with his blood as his stomach heals up and the giant wound is gone. Time starts to move again. All Might looks under his suit and sees his wound gone as he turns back into his prime-like form. All Might thanks the kid as he feels younger and stronger than ever. All Might tells Deku that basically, everyone in the country will be watching and he'll need to show the world what he's made of. The sports festival works like this. Students are divided into groups by how many years they've been in UA. These groups are quirk, business, general studies, and hero courses. They'll all fight and compete against each other in rounds until 2 contestants are remaining. The last 2 contestants will fight for the championship. So basically think of the NBA playoffs because Deku has a lot of opportunity here. Deku says to All Might that he needs to win because he needs the money for his mother's surgery and to prove to everyone that he has the potential to be the finest hero there is. All Might likes that mindset because different people in life want to excel versus settle. All Might knows that Deku will excel with or without superpowers, but he tells Deku he'll need more than super strength, speed, and healing to triumph over the other competitors. After a while, Class 1A meets another group of students blocking the entrance of their class. Class 1A is wondering why all these students are here. Bakugo tells the class that they're scouting out the competition since they heard they survived a villain attack. Bakugo tells them they're looking at the next pro hero and to move out of the way and goes as far as calling them extras mostly because he doesn't know who they are. A random student within the crowd with purple hair and eyes calls Bakugo an asshole and calls him delusional. The purple-haired kid told him that he didn't make it the first time but got a second chance. He warns them that if any of the other students do well in his class, they can get assigned to the hero course class and someone in that class will be expelled. He says to take that as a warning as he's going to take one of their spots if they're not careful. Kirishima tells Bakugo that he started all of this and that he has to say something. Bakugo tells the hardening hero that all he cares about is beating them. The class is worried because he made everyone an enemy. Deku gets up from his seat and walks to the other students who are acting like a roadblock in the doorway. He says that everyone will do their best all they want but his class, especially him, won't lose to them. So, you're the superhuman kid with no quirk huh? Said the purple-haired kid, you don't seem that dangerous to me. Don't think you're a top dog just because of your skills. I don't believe that you have a quirk just called superhuman. You better be careful out because everyone including me is out to tear you to shreds. Deku disappears from their line of sight. Are you sure you want to test me? Everyone including the purple-haired kid turned around scared and confused. Deku was standing right behind the purple-haired kid while showing a menacing smile. How? When did he get behind me? Nobody saw him move or even activate his quirk. Is this super speed or teleportation? The purple-haired kid questioned in his mind. Good luck, said Deku as he walked away. Everyone is training doing whatever they can to enhance their quirks and strength for the sports festival. Bakugo worked on his explosions, Kirishima on his hardening, Mina on her acid, Uraraka on her gravity control, Suyu on swimming, Ida on speed, and so on. The UA Sports Festival. The day of the festival is here. A lot of people were shopping and waiting in line for food. Even the media group is ready and turned up for this. A ton of pro heroes showed up. In the waiting room, Todoroki showed up and wanted to talk to Deku. Todoroki tells Deku that he needs to know that he's stronger than him but he doesn't know a lot about Deku's abilities so he can't be sure. Todoroki tells Deku that he will beat him. Deku sneers at this and tells him good luck because even though he has amazing potential, he'll never be able to defeat him. He's aiming for the top and planning on taking the W home. The sports festival is about to start as everyone is heading to the arena. Their opponents will be Class 1B aka the group of students from earlier, General Studies aka Class CE, Support Class FH, and Business Class 1K. Their host is Midnight, a pro hero nicknamed the R-rated hero. Midnight elects Bakugo for the student pledge. Bakugo says he's going to win and that the students behind him were just obstacles in his way, which makes all the other classes lose their shit. Deku knows that Bakugo was being serious because he was pushing himself despite making everyone a target. The festival starts as the first game is chosen, obstacle race. The contestants will run 4 kilos around the stadium with obstacles in their way. There were no rules in this race besides leaving the course. The race began as everyone was pushing to get out of the stadium. Todoroki figures out that leaving the stadium was a test as he glued some of the people to the ground with his ice powers. Everyone is either using their quirks for an advantage or having a hard time keeping up. Deku is using his flight powers but keeps his feet close to the ground to make it seem like he's running. The pro students encountered zero-pointer robots from the entrance exams. Todoroki froze the robots in place with his ice and proceeded to run through a tunnel between one of the robots' legs. Todoroki's ice was temporary as the robots began to move again. Deku has no choice but to battle or find another way to get past the robots. Deku proceeds to leap up to one of the robots and punch it in the face as he jumps off the robot's face seconds before it explodes and falls backward. Deku proceeds to chase after Todoroki with his super speed. Kirishima and Tetsu, another student participating in the obstacle course, managed to take down some robots. Tetsu and Kirishima's hardened and steel quirks are that much alike. Bakugo uses his explosions to get past the villain bots. Class 1A manages to defeat some of the villains and continues to try and catch up to win. Deku picks up a part of one of the robots Todoroki froze and destroys a victory robot aka a one-pointer robot before continuing to run after the icy hot kid. As the contestants continue to the second obstacle aka the fall, students will have to travel across a canyon with tightropes without falling or they'll be eliminated. The story goes as normal as everyone did what they originally did in the main story, but since Deku has Dio's powers, he used his super strength to jump from pillar to pillar like how Dio from the 1993 JoJo OVA destroyed Hierophant Green's web as he crossed the obstacle while still carrying part of the robot with him. The students quickly approached the third obstacle aka the minefield. The students need to tread carefully in order to not set off any of the mines. Deku thinks of a game-changing play since he doesn't want them to see him teleport aka time stop. Todoroki knows that he needs to go slow in order to not trigger a mine since he's in first place. The people with high jumping quirks need to pace themselves as well. Bakugo is rocketing to engage with Todoroki in a mini 1v1. Bakugo tells Todoroki that he chose the wrong person to battle. Deku starts collecting a lot of mines in order to catapult himself to first place with the explosion. Deku then jumps onto the pile of mines, setting off a huge explosion. Deku uses the spare robot part as a shield from the explosion and takes the lead, which makes him the prime target to Bakugo and Todoroki. While hanging in the air, Deku still uses his stand power to jump even further ahead of the competition. Bakugo uses his explosive power to follow and pursue Deku. Todoroki uses his ice to safely run through the rest of the minefield. They realize no matter how hard they try, there's not much they can do to catch up. Deku gets back to the stadium first and is declared the winner of the obstacle race. Pro heroes, All Might, the audience, and even Tamura see that he won. The business class discusses whether or not Midoriya's stock will go up since he never actually used his powers. The business course class said that Deku will need to bring his A game and show his true potential if he wants his draft stocks to go up. Bakugo is quite aggravated at the fact he lost to Deku twice. Ochako tells Deku he did amazing during the race. As the race concludes, Midnight shows the standing for who finished the race from first to last place. The next game is called Cavalry Battle. The students must form teams of 2 to 4 people as one of those students will be carried around by the other members to steal points to increase their scores. The points are given to them depending on where they stand after the obstacle race. The points start at 5 and build up while going up the list. Deku gets awarded 10 million points. Everyone's top priority now is to take down Deku and his team. Deku was surprised by this a little because he had so many people coming for his head now, but he dismissed the nervousness by saying, "Although I'm a little frightened by this, you all will need a clever strategy to triumph over me." The total points are added by how many points the individuals have. Now for the rules. The game will conclude after 15 minutes. Steal other people's headbands to increase your team's score. Stolen headbands need to be worn from the neck up. This makes it hard to manage all the headbands a team has stolen. You can keep playing until time runs off even if you don't have any points or if your team falls. However, making a team fall is forbidden and you will be kicked out of the game. Midnight gives everyone 15 minutes to assemble teams. Deku starts thinking of who he wants to have on his team. In the break room, the pro heroes are talking about how the sports festival is about the students competing against each other even if they go pro. The country has too many agencies and the students are basically forced to stomp on the competition in order to win. However, even if they do battle each other, they'll have to work together as a squad, sometimes like the cavalry battle. Deku is having a hard time gathering a team since he has 10 million points on his head. Ochako asked Deku if she can join his team and he said sure. Deku and Ochako ask Tenya if they can join their team since their powers together will be great enough to win. Tenya Ida declined their offer saying he needs to be on his own path or he'll never get stronger. Ida warns him that he'll take him down in the cavalry battle. Mei Hatsume, a girl from the support class, asks Deku if she can be on his team since he has the most points. Ochako recognizes her from the obstacle race. Mei Hatsume shows the duo her gadgets, aka her babies. Deku recognizes the jetpack gadget from a pro hero named Air Jet. Deku knows that he needs another teammate and he knows who he wants on his team. Deku's team consists of Ochako Uraraka, Mei Hatsume, and Fumikage Tokiyami. The teams are Team Midoriya, Team Tsunotori, Team Mineta, Team Kodai, Team Shinsoendo, Team Hagakure, Team Tetsu, Team Bakugo, and Team Todoroki. The cavalry battle starts as the teams start rushing to steal Deku's 10 million points. Deku tells his team to run away. The ground below them starts sucking them up like quicksand. Deku notices that it's one of Tetsu's teammates doing. Deku pushes a button to activate Mei's jetpack and makes his team fly away. Kyoka tries to use her earplugs to swipe Deku's headband, but Tokiyami's shadow blocks them off. Deku thanks Tokiyami for that. Mei asks Deku what he thinks of her gadgets and he says they are great, making Ochako jealous. One of Hagakure's teammates warns her that her headband is missing. The headband was stolen by Team Monoma. Everyone is still trying to chase Midoriya's team for his headband. Shoji was after Deku's team too, but he was all by himself. Much to their surprise, he had his quirk hide his teammates. Deku's team tries to fly away once more, but their gear is stuck on the ground by one of Mineta's grape hair balls. Tsuyu uses her tongue to try and steal Deku's headband while Mineta resorts to his hairballs. Deku was having an easy time evading them. Deku grabbed Tsuyu's tongue and froze it a little. Deku has disarmed Tsuyu of the usage of her frog-like tongue. Deku presses the button again and they fly off while still damaging one of the jetpack boots. Deku's super senses hear explosions getting close to him. Bakugo was using his quirk to propel himself into the sky to steal Deku's headband. Deku uses the world. Time is momentarily frozen as Deku puts Bakugo back onto his team's shoulders. The team looks at Deku and wonders if he did that. The judges think Bakugo broke the rules, but it was okay as long as he didn't touch the ground. Deku knows that they need to win. Bakugo's team gets their headband stolen by Team Monoma and this pisses Bakugo off. Team Deku gets stared down by Team Todoroki saying that they're taking that headband. Everyone starts chasing Deku for his points. Denki tries to use his electric shock on Deku's team, but it's stopped by Tokiyami's shadow. Todoroki freezes the other contestants to the ground with ice powers. Deku is ready to use his time stop if he needs to. Tokiyami uses his Dark Shadow to attack Todoroki's team, but Momo uses a shield against it. Deku remembers that Dark Shadow is weaker and controllable in light and stronger and more aggressive if he's in the dark. All Deku's team can do is hold onto their points until time expires. Bakugo changes his team's plan to take down Team Monoma. Bakugo tries to attack Nito, but he shoves him off. Nito then used Bakugo's explosions on himself. Nito then touches Kirishima and uses his quirk to harden his body to shield himself from Bakugo's attack. Bakugo notices that his quirk can copy other people's quirks by touching them, however, he can only use one quirk at a time. Bakugo's horse's feet get glued to the ground by another team's quirk. Mina on Bakugo's team quickly decides to use her acid to melt the glue off. Nito taunts Bakugo by reminding him that he said he was going to win. Todoroki notices Midoriya's team is trying to stay on the left side of his team. He can't freeze them or he'll freeze Ida along with them. Toyokomi's Dark Shadow can't defend against Denki's electricity that well. Ida tells his team that there's only 1 minute left, so he's going to try something. Ida proceeds to use a Recipro Burst to speed blitz around Deku, and Todoroki steals Deku's headband. Bakugo immediately uses his quirk to catapult himself to Team Monoma in an attempt to take his points back. He tries to take the headbands back from them, but Kosei Saburaba, one of Nito's horses, uses his quirk to make the air solid to defend against Bakugo. This backfires after Bakugo shatters the glass and takes back some of the headbands, moving his team to third place. Bakugo gets back to the squad and tells him that they'll be the champions by winning. Bakugo then used his team's tape and acid abilities to catch up and snatch the last headband Team Monoma had. Ida reminded Deku that he said he was going to defeat him. Deku tells his squad to immediately attack Todoroki to get the points back. Tokiyami tells Deku that it's smart to attack others to get easier points, but they don't have enough time or know where the points are. Deku's hand glows a purple aura as he uses his super strength to knock Todoroki's hand out of the way. For a brief second, Todoroki saw Deku's eyes flashing red. Deku then proceeded to snatch one of Todoroki's headbands, which was worth 70 points. Momo tells Deku that Todoroki messed with the headbands because he knew something like this would happen. Deku completely underestimated Todoroki's team. Deku's team and Bakugo were about to fight for the points, but time ran off. Deku was frustrated that he didn't win and that he let the team down. Tokiyami shows him a headband he stole from Todoroki when both clashed. Deku thanked Tokiyami for clutching up and getting us to advance to the final round. Todoroki knows that he broke his promise to not use his dad's fire powers he inherited. The game is paused for an hour-long lunch break. Deku and Todoroki were in the tunnel secretly talking to each other. Deku stays calm and chilled, unlike Kanon. I was overwhelmed, so I had no choice but to use my fire, but I kinda felt your true power and it felt like All Might's. So Deku, are you All Might's secret love child or something? Said half ice and fire kid. Deku responds by saying, no, I'm not, I'm just built differently from the rest. I don't even have powers besides super strength and speed. Todoroki thinks that Deku is leaving something out on purpose but moves on. Todoroki says that he didn't want to use his fire due to his father, Endeavor only wanting him to beat All Might. His mother hates the left side of his face because it reminds her of his father. She even went as far as throwing boiling water in his face. He was fighting against him to prove he could beat Deku without resorting to his fire powers. Deku said he respects him, but sooner or later he'll have to use his firepower to win. Deku informs Shoto he's planning on winning this as well. All Might tries to catch up with Endeavor, but he doesn't plan on talking with him. All Might tells Endeavor that Shoto has been doing well in the sports festival and asks how they can train future heroes. Endeavor ignores the question and warns All Might that he'll make sure Todoroki becomes stronger than him because that's why he made him. Class 1A girls were wearing cheerleader outfits. The reason they were wearing cheerleader outfits was because Mineta tricked them by saying Mr. Aizawa told them to. The third game was here. The UA sports tournament. 16 students were going to fight for the championship. 2 of the students forfeited because they barely remembered what happened due to someone's quirk and felt like they haven't truly earned their spots. Deku looks at the purple-haired kid aka Shinso from Class 1B thinking he might have caused this. Shinso asks Deku if he's his next opponent, but before Deku can respond, his mouth gets covered by Masharao. Masharao tells Deku to not say anything to Shinso. 4 students remain. The fights will go as they did in the canon timeline. Shinso will face off against Izuku. As the match begins, Shinso tells Izuku to give up because he's not going to be able to defeat him. He tells Deku that Masharao threw away his chance because of him being prideful. Deku starts running towards his enemy saying, "Don't ever talk about another person's motives like that ever." Then Deku completely stopped and stood frozen in place. Shinso grins as he says to himself, "I won." Masharao stood up frustrated as he just told Deku not to say anything to Shinso. Ochako and Ida are looking at Deku and wondering why he isn't fighting and just standing there. Eraserhead says to Earphone Jack, "This is why the UA entrance exam is basically useless." Shinso failed the practical exam to get into the hero course, but he applied for general studies. His quirk is strong, but the practical exam was about taking down robotics and that was a problem for him. Shinso tells Izuku that he's blessed to have true power and orders him to leave the ring. The hypnotized Izuku follows through with the commands as he starts moving out of bounds. Class 1A is shocked to see that Deku is listening to Shinso. All Might yells at Deku to stop this and to fight, but to no avail. Shinso's quirk is brainwashing. Whenever someone answers a question from him, they'll be under his control. The world remembers what Masharao said about Shinso's mind control power and uses his hand to stop Deku's heart seconds before he touches out of bounds, breaking the mind control. This shocked Shinso and he yelled at Deku, "How did you do that?" Deku stayed quiet as he used his own hypnosis on Shinso and made Shinso walk out of bounds. Deku officially won round 1. Deku stops the hypnosis and asks Shinso, "Why do you want to be a hero?" Shinso has a flashback where his classmates were complimenting his brainwashing power. Although he thinks any villain with this power would be unstoppable, he's gotten used to people thinking he's a bad guy when he's not. Back to the present, Shinso tells Deku, "You can't help the things your heart longs for." Todoroki runs into his dad, Endeavor, who tells him, "You would have had an easier time using his fire powers. You're being so disgraceful, Shoto. Stop this rebellion because you need to surpass All Might." Shoto ignores him and says, "Is that all you have to say? I'll use only my mom's power and I'll never use yours." Endeavor then says, "Even if you do, you'll hit your limit to your ice. You will have to resort to your fire sooner or later." Shoto goes on to fight Hantashiro, a classmate with the power of tape. He easily beats him by manufacturing and imprisoning him inside an iceberg. Deku looks amazed a little, saying his powers and tactics are remarkable, but he doesn't know the full extent of Shoto's ice powers. Deku knows that he and Shoto have the same ice powers, but it takes longer for him to use. Deku is talking to All Might in the school nurse's office about how Todoroki is being chosen for being his successor and that he will possibly become one of Deku's strongest rivals after inheriting One for All. Deku says that he'll probably be stronger than All Might with all his powers. Deku says to All Might that he will have to let them be teammates if they get accepted by an agency, but for now, he has to go get revenge for Ochako. 15 minutes earlier, after Todoroki's battle, Deku was watching Ochako and Bakugo fight. Bakugo was going in on her as he was brutally using explosions on her. This sets Deku off as he swears revenge against Bakugo. He won't just beat Bakugo, he'll make him bleed. Real quick, I won't be going over every single fight or event, just the ones that have me explain or bring major details, turns to the story. Deku runs into Endeavor, who tells him that he watched his fight with Shinso and that his power is impressive even if it's the same as Shinso's. Endeavor tells Deku that Shoto has to surpass All Might as the #1 hero and that their battle will determine how much training he has left. Remembering what Shoto said, Deku said that Shoto is not a toy and he can't force decisions on his son. Deku warns Endeavor that if he doesn't let Shoto live his own life, he will be dealt with. Endeavor is surprised and a little scared as the pressure in the room suddenly feels completely different, almost like he could have been killed right now if he moved or said anything wrong. Endeavor knows that Deku is skilled at combat, but he doesn't even know all of Deku's powers or his limits, which terrifies him even more. Deku and Shoto head towards the tunnels as they're about to compete against each other in round 2. So here we are, Shoto, the ice and fire prodigy of the second best hero versus Deku, the perfect tactician of a hero. Both contestants take their stance as the round begins. Shoto launched an ice wave at Deku which missed him. Deku and Shoto run to the middle and then the contestants start clashing with martial arts skills. Shoto jumps back and spawns another wave of ice, but Deku punches through it with Zawaruto's arm. Deku orders Shoto to use his firepower or else. Shoto Todoroki tells Deku that he doesn't have the right to tell him what he needs to do to make it as a hero. Deku says he knows that, but it won't be worth it unless he tries his hardest. Deku gets tired of talking and says he will eliminate Shoto with his next attack if he doesn't get serious now. Shoto gets angry and uses his fire powers for the second time. Shoto says to Deku, "This is what you wanted to see, so don't be angry if you get eliminated." Endeavor is happy that his son is using his fire quirk and he thinks that he's accepted his purpose in life to surpass All Might. Deku says that this power is amazing and that this is what he craves. Shoto warns Deku that he better be prepared because he's going for the win. Midnight and Cementos try to stop the fight but are too late. Shoto summons an ice pillar between him to stand on. Shoto then shoots a bigger wall of ice at the broccoli head, but he jumps over it and starts getting close to Shoto. Shoto shoots fire like a flamethrower at Deku, but he somehow dodges. Deku yells out from the depths of his heart, "Zawaruto, Toki yo Tamare." 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds. I guess I managed to improve my ability to completely freeze time in the range. Todoroki, you are gifted with a powerful quirk. I need you to grow so I can have a real fight with you. Your father is right though, he wants you to be the best, but you need to do that for yourself. Deku flies towards Shoto as he spawns the world to punch clean through Shoto Todoroki's stomach like how Dio did to Kakyoin, then proceeds to use his laser eyes to cut the ice and get back to his regular position. Toki wa Yugokidasu. Shoto is sent flying through the stands outside the stadium as an explosion takes place. Shoto also has a gaping hole in his stomach the same way Kakyoin does. Deku gets a yellow card for injuring Todoroki and is told if he does that again, he's disqualified. Everyone's jaw dropped after seeing that Deku's ability is crazy strong but is fatal if used the wrong way. Deku looks at his hands impressed because he's stronger than before, so much stronger to the point that he can stop time for 13 seconds. Shoto gets taken to the school nurse's room for recovery. In waiting room 1, Tenya is trying to call Tensai, his older brother, but he's busy on a mission. Tensai is trying to track down a villain nicknamed the Hero Killer. He runs into him in an alleyway but he's quickly dealt with. The Hero Killer says, "You heroes are only focused on getting money and fame. You people aren't heroes except for All Might. All Might is the only one with clearance to kill me." Tenya went back to the spectators area of the arena when his phone went off. He answers his phone and his mother tells him the bad news. "Your brother is in the hospital. He's in critical condition." Back to where Tensai was, the Hero Killer is watching from afar the crime scene of his recent attack. He points his sword at Kurogiri, who he thought was a hero. Kurogiri tells him to keep calm and wants to offer him an opportunity. Deku's last fight will be against Bakugo. Bakugo is ready to take revenge for Deku making a fool out of him. Bakugo yells at Deku, "I'll finally get my chance for redemption by squashing you like a bug." Deku smirks at Bakugo then says, "I would like to see you try." The last round begins as Deku rushes at the raging blonde. Bakugo throws an explosion at Deku but he ducks under it. Deku then uppercuts Bakugo and sends the teen flying 20 feet in the air. Deku then leaps into the air and slams Bakugo on the ground. Bakugo gets up and blinds Deku with a stun grenade. Bakugo takes this chance to punch Deku in the face but it gets blocked by the air. Zawarudo was guarding him. He then proceeds to grab and throw Bakugo into a corner of the ring. Bakugo tells Deku now he's pissed and that he'll end this with one blow. Bakugo hurls himself up into the air and starts using his explosive to rapidly turn 360 degrees. Bakugo creates a tornado and yells at Deku saying, "Where's that super secret technique of yours now? How will you dodge this?" As Bakugo is about to set off the explosion, Deku walks out of the ring. Everyone is stunned by the fact that Deku had the entire advantage with him and he just gave up. Deku tells Bakugo that even though you are strong, he doesn't have the power to fight him at his top level and that All Might is more worthy than him. However, he tells Bakugo that he'll probably catch up to him one day. Bakugo is demented after hearing this and orders Deku to come back and fight him for real. The next thing on the list is the award ceremony. Shoto gets third place, Deku is second place, and Bakugo is the champion. All of the Class 1A girls blush at Deku including some female pro heroes like Midnight. At sunset, Deku and Class A1 are back in class. Shota gives the Class 2 days off from school to plan. Some of the pro heroes looked pretty interested in recruiting some of them. Izuku looks at Tenya Ida's desk and thinks that he's gone to see his brother in the hospital. Turns out that Deku was eavesdropping on Tenya with his super hearing as he was watching some of the fights. Ida goes to the Hosu General Hospital to check if his brother is okay. He runs to his room and shouts, "Tensai, are you okay?" The doctor says, "Calm down, he needs to rest. He's fading in and out of consciousness. He would have been dead if he didn't get treatment in time." Tensai opens his eyes a little and says, "Little brother, is that you?" Tenya Ida assures his older brother that he'll be okay. Tense says to Ida, "Sorry, I'm supposed to be someone you look up to but now I'm weak and helpless in a hospital bed." The next day, Shoto is going to see his mother after a long time. He starts remembering the words, "I can't take it anymore, I want to run away from this life." Every day, the kid seems more like him. Every time I see the red side of his face, I see his father. I can't do this anymore. Shoto never really visits his mother because he's scared of causing her more pain. But he realizes no matter what, they're still mother and son bound by the history of his father. Shoto is about to stop and leave but believes that if he wants to become a true hero, he needs to face his fears and meet with his mother. He opens the door and sees a lady with white hair sitting on the bed looking out of the window. The next day, Deku is riding a train on his way to school. A passenger instantly recognizes Deku as the second-place Class 1A student. Passengers then started surrounding Deku and saying, "Keep trying, born hero." Deku replies with a, "Thank you, I will." Shortly after, Deku was walking to school with an umbrella when he heard someone call out to him saying, "Good morning, Midoriya." Deku turns around and sees Ida wearing a raincoat as rain gear. "Why are you walking so slow?" asks Tenya. "You'll be late, students should always be in class 10 minutes early." Deku runs after Tenya as they head into the school. "So Ida, why weren't you?" Tenya cuts off Deku mid-sentence and tells Deku not to worry because it was about his brother, he was in the hospital. In class, everyone is talking about how the sports festivals made them famous. Shota Aizawa opens the door as all the students say, "Good morning, Mr. Aizawa." Shota tells the students that they will be going over informatics and by informatics, he means choosing their hero names. Before that, he shows the amount of offers each student has. Deku is number 1 on the chart with 5,000 hero offers, Shoto with 4,123 offers, Bakugo with 1,835 offers, and so on. Everyone was impressed that a kid with no quirk was able to display crazy abilities and tactics like a veteran hero with a quirk. Everyone wanted to give the quirkless rookie star a shot at their agency. Likewise, the hero names go as normal, but Deku's name is a little different. He calls himself the Impossible, due to his hidden powers making things that are normally extremely hard to do look easy. Midnight loves the idea of that name, saying, "Wow, such a superb name fit for you." Midnight was quite jealous because of how powerful he was compared to her. She kinda has some erotic feelings towards the broccoli boy because of his impressive physique and powers, but she knows she still has a job to do. She knows that Deku is powerful, but she knows that his powers are way more than he's letting on. Before I continue with the story, quick reminder, this is where things are going to start changing since Deku doesn't have one for all. We'll need to take a minute to research and think about the offers. Some offers will probably have good endorsements but lower wages, freedom and restrictions, and incentives to earn overtime. Sometimes they can be slow but with bigger wages and more freedom, said the world. I know, however, we need to think carefully about which company we choose. I need the money for my mother's heart and surgery, said Deku. Shota calls Deku and tells him to follow him so the teachers can speak to him privately about his powers. They left the classroom and went into the teacher's lounge. All the teachers, including All Might, were standing around the corners and walls of the room. You've shown impressive powers during the sports festival, said Nezu. However, your powers don't make sense since you do unexplainable things. For example, you ran on top of Shoto's ice-powered barrier wall and somehow magically it broke and Shoto was sent flying with a cavernous hole in his chest. I'm not asking, it's authorized by the rules and law of this school for you to tell us how your powers work. There's no debate over this. You either tell us or we'll expel you here and now for not only not complying with the rules but also almost killing one of your classmates. Deku is in a tight spot. He knows that he can't reveal the world's true power, but if he just stays quiet, he'll be expelled, meaning he won't get the money and his mother will die. The world knows this too and comes up with a plan. Kid, I need you to say everything I say, alright? Deku says to the teachers, my true power is called the world. It allows me to make the impossible look very easy. The teachers look at the broccoli kid confused, wondering what is he going on about. If you want to know what powers I have, meet me at the sports festival stadium tonight. Deku leaves the room and heads back to class. In class, he's still thinking of which agency he wants to partner up with. A lot of these offers look promising at first glance. I can't believe that even Endeavor wants me to be in his agency, said Deku. The world tells Deku, Endeavor is the best deal, but are you sure that's the agency you want? I think it'll do nicely, said Deku. Deku chooses Endeavor Agency because of two reasons. First, since he's the second top hero to All Might, he might be getting paid a lot of money, and second, he'll be training with Shoto and helping him with his self-esteem to bring out his firepower. At night, after all the students went home, Deku teachers, including the principal, were walking into the stadium. They see Deku there and see another person who smells like a corpse. For everyone's information, Deku has a good grip on his powers beyond this point of the story. Midnight blushes lustfully after seeing Deku. She feels more erotic seeing Deku than anyone she ever met. Principal Nezu tells Deku to go ahead and show all of them the extent of his powers. Deku said to them, this is my zombie. One of my hidden powers is zombification, vampirization. I can pretty much turn people into zombies or vampires, however they're weaker than me. I can donate my blood to heal and resurrect others since I'm also a vampire myself. All the teachers' nerves spiked as soon as those words left Deku's mouth. A vampire student. It was hard for the teachers to understand as they stood surprised and confused. A power that brings the dead back to life. Deku smirks and then says, that's only two of my powers. I can freeze things upon touch and use my ice like Shoto can, use laser vision that's strong enough to split the sky, hypnosis, super strength and speed, flight, and regeneration, and flesh buds. The teachers looked at Deku surprised because it was hard to believe all this. What kind of quirk does this kid have? They're trying to figure out what kind of quirk gives him all that power, but unbeknownst to them, it's not a quirk. Speaking of which, I have one more power I need to show you. Deku takes out an apple from his backpack and throws it up into the air. Deku activated the world as time froze. The apple that was once falling was suspended in the air. Deku uses his laser eyes to cut through the apple right before time resumes. The teachers looked dumbfounded as the apple sliced itself in half even though no one or nothing went near it. The teachers looked at Deku even more suspiciously. In their minds, they thought, what was this? Was it teleportation, super speed, or anything like that? A shuriken comes from out of nowhere and hits a clock hanging in the stands, breaking it. All the teachers looked at the shuriken which was stuck in the broken clock. The teachers examined the clock and they noticed the shuriken struck both arrows on the clock. What do you notice about the clock my shuriken hit? What's different about this clock than other clocks? Said Deku. The teachers examined the clock and then told Deku, your shuriken struck the hands of the clock, so they stopped the clock from working properly. A second later, the teachers looked at Deku astounded as they came up with an assumption. Deku has the power to completely stop time at will. Deku laughs at the fact that they finally figured it out even though he thought he was being extremely careful using and hiding the world's ultimate ability. All the teachers asked Deku, why have you not shown or told us about this power? Deku replies by saying, if news were to get out about my powers, everyone close to me would be in danger. That's why I wanted to keep these powers a secret. I don't know if this is a quirk or not, but if my time-stopping power were to get stolen by a villain, that villain would be too deadly and could kill a man without attracting any attention to themselves. I ask all of you to keep my power a secret from the other kids in the world. The teachers gathered into a circle and started talking to each other. Switching to the teacher's point of view, the discussion went something like this. That time ability of his will be quite helpful if he gets more training. This power will probably allow him to surpass most of the pro heroes, said Midnight. Yes, I believe you, said Principal Nezu, but are we sure about this? The kid is polite and nice, but what's stopping him from practically killing people and turning to the dark side? Shota adds on to the conversation by saying, I looked at his files of his personal life. He wants to become a hero just like anyone with a quirk would. Yeah, that power is quite helpful in hostage rescue missions and taking down big threats. Maybe we can ask him what he plans on doing with those powers, said Present Mike. The teachers disassemble the circle as they look at the green-haired teen. Just what do you plan to accomplish with these powers? Said Principal Mouse. I plan on surpassing all heroes and ruling the world to the point there's nobody who can stop me from being a hero. Nervousness crept up the teachers' spines as they realized how dangerous Deku would be if he ever turned into a villain. Small Might turns into All Might as he takes a fighting stance. Are you sure you want to fight me? The moment you take a step forward from that spot, you're dead. I'm not trying to kill anyone here, but I won't hesitate to throw dem hands to save myself from danger, said Deku. All Might was about to try to speed blitz Deku but stopped when he saw a green golden armored hearted monster near Deku. All Might can see Deku stand, the world. All Might is starting to sweat as he sees a monster behind Deku. The world stares at All Might as he makes a theory that stronger people can see him. All Might yells at Midoriya, Midoriya, watch out, there's a monster behind him. Deku smiles at All Might and tells him, that's my ultimate power, he's my stand, his name is Zawaruto aka the world. My stand thinks because of your incredible power, you're able to see him when weaker people can't. This confuses all the teachers. Great. A superhuman vampire with an invisible man by his side, can you get any stronger? Said All Might. Trust me, I want to keep the peace just like you guys, said Deku, I would hate for this to get ugly. The teachers and Deku stared down at each other in quietness until Nezu said, alright, but we'll be ready to stop you if you turn on us. Alright, but you better have remembered what I said. said Deku before leaving the stadium with his zombie dying and collapsing. 5 minutes later, Deku starts flying as he thinks to himself, great, now I'll probably have every single hero observing me like a drone in the sky. I need $10,000 to save my mom from perishing. I could try using the stone mask I have, but I'm not going to take the risk. All of a sudden, Deku hears screaming and he quickly soars over to the origin of the sound. Deku sees two thugs holding a woman and her husband at knife point and mugging them for the money and jewelry they have. Deku pulls out two shurikens from his holsters as he flies down onto a nearby rooftop. Deku hurls the shurikens at both thugs as they get lodged into the back of their skulls, killing them. Deku flies away quickly to get home to rest up for tomorrow since he'll be visiting Endeavor's agency. The following day around sunset, Deku was making his way towards Endeavor's office. Deku knocks on the door and then hears a voice saying, "Come in." Deku enters the room. Endeavor is kinda pissed at seeing Deku, but he knows that he drove Todoroki to use his fire powers, so he needs him. Endeavor greets Midoriya with a serious but generous tone saying, "Izuku Midoriya, welcome, please sit down. I was talking to Todoroki about you and how you'll be working side by side with him." This gets on Todoroki's nerves as he tells his dad, "I don't need him to get stronger or better. I'm perfectly capable of training myself." Endeavor gets exasperated as his son said that, and he counters that by saying, "Shut up Todoroki, that's an order and this is for your own good." Deku was about to reach for a shuriken to euthanize Endeavor until he said, "Alright, get your tools, we're going down on patrol." Back at the UA Teacher Lounge, All Might is talking to Detective Tsukauchi about the criminals that had been captured. "I just want to say that we're not asking for help, but I feel like I owe you an explanation in case things get out of hand. Although a lot of unique villains attack the USJ, there's one that's quite disturbing. You remember how you and that boy fought that bird villain?" All Might responds by saying, "Yeah, he was a tough son of a bitch, he gave me a run for my money." The detective told All Might that Nomu had no brain, like he couldn't think or decide for himself. He also reveals that he was some low-level thug that was wanted for assault and extortion. Apparently, the thug was drugged and turned into a mutant due to having multiple quirks and 4 other people's DNA. "It shouldn't be possible," said the detective. "No one should be able to have that many powers unless someone can give quirks to others." All Might immediately jumps out of his chair and realizes who he was talking about, All for One. Somewhere in Mahjong the following day, Tamura and Kurogiri are talking to the legendary hero killer, Stain. "So you want me to join your little villain empire," said Stain. "Well, our main goal is to kill All Might and that kid named Izuku Midoriya," said Tamura with a malicious attitude. Stain was pissed because to himself they had nothing to offer and they didn't have any conviction or motivations. Kurogiri asks his boss, "Should I step in and stop this, sir?" The boss from the TV responds to Kurogiri by saying, "Let this happen, he needs this to grow." After a brief fight, Tamura is pinned down by Stain. "You won't achieve anything if you don't have conviction and desire." Tamura is fearing for his life as he orders Kurogiri to take Stain back to where he came from. However, Kurogiri can't really move at this moment. Not like he doesn't want to, but it's like he's forced to stay still, like he's paralyzed. Could this be the hero killer's quirk? This world has forgotten what a hero truly is. It's all just heroes who just want to focus on getting popularity and money, and criminals who chase petty dreams. These people are just like you and should be killed. Stain proceeded to slowly drag his knife toward Tamura's neck. Pissed, Tamura grabs the hero killer's knife and starts disintegrating it while saying, "I don't believe in that conviction bullshit for even 1 second. However, if I had a desire, that would be to kill the symbol of peace." Tamura proceeds to explain that if this world wants to worship All Might like he's a god, he'll kill him and see how the world reacts once their hero falls. Stain backs up from Tamura and sees that both of them have a lot of conviction, desire, and the same goal to destroy the present. For now, he'll be allowed to live and prove his worth. Tamura doesn't really think that Stain is a perfect fit for the League of Villains, but Kurogiri wants him to reconsider because he could be a great asset. Enough talk, said Stain, I got other false heroes to take care of, take me back. Tenya realizes that at the places the hero killer has been mentioned there's been 5 heroes attacked, so it's a pattern. His brother was the only person he attacked in Hosu. It's likely you'll appear again, and if that occurs then I'll dispose of you, said Ida in his mind. On the 3rd day of the internships, Tenya is walking around on patrol duty with Manuel, the mentor of the agency he chose. Manuel quickly unravels that Ida only chose his agency to take down the hero killer. Ida, we're not allowed to use our quirks for personal gain and desires, said Manuel, we're only allowed to use our powers according to the law and regulations. Tenya says that he understands, but that was clearly a lie. Ida basically won't stop until he gets it back in blood. Somewhere in Hosu City, Stain, Kurogiri, and Tamura were watching the city on top of a roof's water tank. Tamura asks Stain what he plans on doing here. I plan on reshaping this city, said Stain, but in order to do so, blood needs to spill. Kurogiri admires the determination and the goal of the hero killer. Stain states that the heroes nowadays are false champions and that they don't deserve to be named heroes. After that, Stain just leaves to continue his work. Tamura thinks Stain is just wasting his time, but Kurogiri says that because of Stain, the cities he visits get more security. Tamura is still annoyed at the fact Stain doesn't think bigger. Kurogiri, bring out the Nomus, I'm going to crush the hero killer's pride, he shouldn't have stabbed me. Somewhere else, Deku is riding a train home while sitting next to an old man with a yellow cape, a bootleg Batman mask, and a white suit, aka Gran Torino. The only reason Gran Torino is on the train with Deku is that he's going to take down villains as practice so he doesn't feel too old. Deku is checking his phone for Tenya's reply, but he hasn't responded. Deku starts smelling something burning. Hey, did anyone see that? Said a random passenger, a building just exploded. Gran Torino and Deku are wondering what's happening and why. The train's intercom came on and told the passengers to hold on to their seats. Deku started hearing sounds like whoosh, whoosh, clank, clank, and it got louder when the source came closer to the train. He realizes what's going on and yells, everyone get down. A random hero being overwhelmed by a white version of Nomu crashes into the train. Gran Torino wasted no time and quickly knocked the Nomu out of the train and into a building. Deku is wondering what's going on, but there's no time to think. Deku summons the world's legs as he jumps from rooftop to find the source of the chaos. Tamura and Kurogiri are watching the Nomus cause chaos and demolition. Tamura is laughing menacingly, saying this is how you create chaos and that this is a better game. Back to Tenya's point of view, Manuel gets a call from his agency that a villain attack is currently underway. Manuel tells Tenya to follow him to the crime scene. However, while running, Tenya decides to split up because he knows that the hero killer Stain isn't one for drawing attention. Back to Deku, he's finally arrived at the crime scene. He sees the old man still fighting the Nomu from earlier. Deku jumps down to assist in the fight, but Nomu is unexpectedly set ablaze. Deku looks to see that Endeavor and Todoroki have arrived to assist in maintaining the threat. Izuku, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be going home? Said Todoroki. I actually was, said Deku, but that monster crashed into the train I was riding. Endeavor says that they can talk later and tells them that they need to focus on taking down the current threats. Flashback, Tamura is talking to his boss on the TV. Master, how many Nomus are completed? Said Tamura. The boss asks Tamura why he needed them. Tamura tells him that he gave him the job to destroy anything he doesn't like, and he doesn't like the hero killer. The boss agreed to give him Nomus but only gave him 3 as a learning experience. Back to the fight, Endeavor and Gran Torino realized that someone was up with the Nomu they were fighting since Endeavor's attack didn't knock it out. The creature somehow shot back at the Inferno hero and the Elder Jet hero. Endeavor, watch it, this thing has multiple quirks. The Nomu leapt into the air, readying his attack. The Inferno hero was prepared to blast the Nomu out of commission, but then Deku shouts out, "Za Warudo, Toki yo Tamare." Time is now frozen. Deku uses the world's version of Star Finger and pierces the brain of the deadly creature. Deku walks to a stop sign and uses his vampire strength to cut off the edges and turn it into a spear. You are quite strong, but nevertheless, when time starts again, you will be dead. Deku throws the stop sign spear at the Nomu's head as it stops inches before hitting it. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The spear continues on its pre-existing path and impales the skull of the white Nomu as it drops dead. Gran Torino was puzzled at what happened, wondering if it was the doing of a quirk. Endeavor turned to Deku and said, "Kid, was that the power of your world?" Deku nods in response to the question. "Good job, let's head over to the others," said Gran Torino. The heroes are having a hard time fighting against the Nomus. They're too strong for them to take down. One of the Nomus was about to kill a female hero, but Endeavor sends the bastard flying. That attack burned the creature's arm, but it quickly regenerated. Knowing about its regeneration quirk, Endeavor incinerates the Nomu's head completely. He then orders the useless heroes to go help at District 4 on Echo Street. "Above you," a random hero said as a Nomu flew off with an unconscious hero. Endeavor flies after the Nomu and channels his fire to make a spear. He chucks the spear at the monster's brain, injuring it but at the same time forcing it to drop the hero it was holding. Endeavor caught the pummeling hero as the Nomu escaped, but he vowed that he'd destroy it before this night was over. Endeavor, Midoriya, Torino, and Todoroki basically spent the whole night taking out or killing the remaining Nomus. The next day, news came out saying that Endeavor and his 2 internships helped take down 3 Nomus last night. They also report that they see 2 people watching the crime, indicating that they're associated with the League of Villains. At the villain Mahjong hideout, Tamura is pissed that the people didn't talk about the Nomu attack and are mainly talking about Stain. Every agency goes as normal as the regular story. Deku is at home when he gets a sudden text from his classmates that Tenya got killed, which surprised him. He looked it up on his phone and it was true.